Welcome to the video. We're checking out the book known as What Every Pianist Needs to Know About the Body. I've provided the link in the description for you to check out the book. And before I get into the video, I just want to say that whatever being talked about in this video is only the important points. I'm not really, reading out the whole thing. So if you want to know much more about the book, like if you want to dive deeper into it, then it's highly recommended that you go check out the book, because it's just wonderful. Now let's get into the video. Now we're going to talk about the pelvis. So before we learn that, the spine is going to deliver the weight to the sacrum which is part of the pelvis, and then the pelvis is going to distribute the weight to our lower half of the body. So the sacrum is actually acting as the keystone of the pelvis. The pelvis as an arch sort of shape, and geometrically we know that arch is really good for holding down weights. So this pelvis is holding down all our torso weight, and then it's distributing that weight to the hip joints. When it's seen from the side, we can see that it's aligned with the AO joint and the shoulder joint. The sacrum receives the weight from the lumbar spine, and it delivers that weight through the arch of the pelvis and then to the legs. The weight is delivered to the legs through the hip joint, which are low on the sides of the pelvis. But usually when people bend down to sit, they bend from their waist part. But here we can see that it's actually the lumbar spine which is there in the waist part. The hip joint is way below that right here. So we should try bending from that point, not from our waist. And when we are sitting down, instead of delivering the weight through the legs, it's going to deliver the weight from the lumbar spine through the pelvis arch to the sit bones. The upper leg bone, the femur, takes the weight of the torso through the hip joints, and it delivers that weight to the knee joint. The upper end of the femur is made up of a head and a neck that connects to the pelvis, and the neck angles sharply from the side from the pelvis, which makes it project further out to the side than any other part of the body. If you look closely here, the femur is slanting back towards the center axis of the body. A person's leg may appear to be straight, but the bone inside the thigh is slightly diagonal, so that the knee joint can be aligned directly below the hip joint. The lower leg has two bones that are fixed parallel to each other. The bone at the front, which is known as the shin bone, is the larger one and the one that is able to bear the weight. The one at the back, which is known as the fibula, is a small one and it cannot bear weight, because if you look closely, the upper part of the fibula is not in contact with the knee joint. After the shin bone receives the weight from the knee joint, it's gonna deliver that weight to the ankle joint. If you look here closely, you can see that the kneecap does not coincide with the knee joint. The kneecap has nothing to do with bearing weight. So when you touch the kneecap, don't think of that part as the joint. The joint is actually behind it and slightly lower than the kneecap. The foot receives the weight of the body at the ankle joint. The weight-bearing part of the ankle joint is also an arch. On one end of the foot it's the heel bone, and on the other end of the foot is the ball of the foot. Also, the toes are not part of the arch. The arch distributes the weight of the body to the heel bone and the ball of the foot. The ball of the foot has two weight-bearing areas, one behind the thumb and the other one behind the little finger. These two are connected by another arch. So altogether there are three weight-bearing areas, and when you stand up, none of them receives the entire weight. You can think of your foot as a tripod, a three-legged structure that is very stable.